Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Monday night. It's that time for Spectral Sailor. Me and Jason are here. Jason is waking up. Everybody, ask him as many questions as you possibly can think of. And we are welcoming tonight, who I've been trying to get on the show forever. And I was really excited. I told everybody last week, you don't probably watch it, so you didn't know. But I was like, I'm not going to tell anybody who's going to be on next week because I've been trying to like to line things up to get this person on forever. And I was like, but I'm going to release it sometime this week later. So I wanted them to be in suspense for a little bit. So welcome, Nick from
Thank,
California, Creepy Pasta, and also living in California, right?
yeah, thank you for having me. Yep, I'm out here right now, living in sunny Golden State,
And I'm
California.
so jealous. I also discovered the Ghosty Girls from Instagram, and they live in California too, and they go all over the place ghost hunting. I don't know if
Right,
you know who they
right.
are. You
Yeah,
heard?
yeah. You know who they are. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay, you know there, yeah. They are on here a lot. They're on our show and they're on a lot of shows on the networks, the two
Oh,
networks
awesome. Yeah.
that we stream on, yeah, a lot. So, if you want to tell a little bit about yourself, go ahead and if they have questions in the audience, I'll ask you, highlight them so you can see them, and then I'll ask you some of the questions that I wrote down.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. Well, I am actually born and raised in California, so I am kind of on the lucky side there. Yeah, it wasn't a choice or anything. Yeah, this is where my family's from. I'm from San Jose, California, which is really famous for the Winchester Mystery House, one of the most haunted houses in pretty much the
Oh yeah.
world. Um,
Hmm.
so that I grew up kind of with that being like a shadow down the way from me. So it really sort of helped influence, I think, early on my love of creepy things and paranormal.
Can I stay with you?
Yeah, so you kind of grow up and you live your life, and over time, I really wanted to kind of put out my own content for creepy things and just my own adventures into the unknown and the strange. So I came up with California Creepy Pasta, which is basically an amalgamation of an old term that was called copy pasta back in kind of the early 4chan days, where basically people would copy and paste stories with no source and just kind of put them out on the internet. And that got really popular with sort of the horror genre. So they started calling them creepy pasta from copy pasta. So kind of these just like digital urban legends of just stories that are kind of floating out there with no source. Nobody really knows if there's any truth behind them or not. Um, and I thought it would be really kind of cool to sort of focus that in on one state and kind of dive into the internet and look up all these like haunted places where somebody said they saw a Bigfoot or were abducted by aliens, and just kind of like go to those places, grab a camera, go out to those places and see if they're, and show everybody this is where this apparently happened, and call it California Creepypasta. So that's really where I started with all this.
Nick said, as a fan of creepypasta, I gotta say, I find it absolutely awesome. You guys got someone involved with the genre onto your show. I didn't know the history behind the copy paste thing. I did not know that.
Yeah, yeah, I get
Cool.
asked about that a lot. Like, where does that name come from? People usually think like it's a play on like food or something.
Yeah, I've heard
But
of just
no,
creepy pasta, but I didn't know it came from copy pasta.
yeah, yeah,
That's
that's
cool.
kind of it's a portmanteau if you're familiar with the term. Kind of combining two words there. So
Yeah, like creepy pasta, creepy food and creepiness. Yeah.
yeah,
If you guys have any questions, he is from California and he has been to a lot of different locations. Nick will probably want to like ask something or whatever. But he has been to a lot of different locations I've never even heard of. He does have Instagram, and it is California Creepypasta / Nick, right?
actually, it's just California Creepypasta. I'll pop up just
Okay.
with that. I
Yeah.
think that's my little. I let everybody know my name is Nick underneath, but it's just California Creepypasta. And then CaliforniaCreepyPasta.com is my website, and pretty much has a lot of the same content with just like a direct access to emailing me or asking questions and things like that. So
Isn't that where Slender Man came from? Was creepypasta?
Creepypasta, yeah. And now a lot of people report that they see Slender Man, which is really interesting. I mean, I think the Slender Man phenomenon is one of the most interesting components of the paranormal lately, because it really asks questions about, are we sort of responsible and co-creating these entities? Are they more than just the spirits of the dead? Is there an outside intelligence that sort of connects all these things like cryptids and aliens and hauntings? And so we can trace Slenderman back to an original post. We know it's made up, but yet people still see this. It's interesting, and to really dive into those types of questions. Do we create sort of these things like a tulpa or something like that, like the rake? Exactly.
Do you believe in thought form and energetically being able to manifest something if enough energy is concentrated on it?
Yeah, exactly. Like the Philip experiment famously kind of pointed out. The rake is really interesting. I mean, a lot of people claim to see things that look like the rake now. They call them pale crawlers. We get a lot of those out here in California in the Sierra Nevada mountain range. Lon Strickler, he runs Phantoms and Monsters. He does a lot of work about this entity that people see in the Sierra Nevada mountains called Penelope, which is basically like a rake, and there's all these creepy stories behind it. So that dives into it again. There's a lot of these things. Are we co-creating?
That one's the one I was trying to think of, Jeff the Killer. I know who that is.
Yeah, exactly.
I know who that one is. And there's a lot of other things that have been created since Jeff the Killer that look just like Jeff the Killer.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you could take this stuff, back even a little further. Ooh, there you go. They're sliding rocking out. I love it.
What is it?
It's my Slender Man.
Oh, okay. A piece of artwork.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if that was your phone or what it was. I just saw it appear automatically, and I was like, what just came up there? Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Jeff's talking about the Winchester House also.
Yeah. That place is amazing. I mean, it definitely had a huge influence, on me. It's just interesting to be into this kind of stuff, and pretty much anytime as a kid that I turned on like the Travel Channel or Fox when they were running like sightings or anything, you would always see the Winchester Mystery House pop up, and it was like down the street from me. So that was always just such a cool thing that, to be like, wow, one of the most haunted places is here. So I've been there countless times. I love it. I've yet to, I've done they have flashlight tours. They have like ghost story tours, but I've yet to get a moment where I've got to properly investigate it myself. That I actually almost had the opportunity to do that, but it kind of fell apart at the end. But I'm still trying. I'm swinging for the fences.
Was it right before coronavirus or during?
Yeah.
Everything that everyone says that they like almost got to do is like basically like seems like I was going to go to investigate a lighthouse in Florida, and then we even had a timeshare that we'd paid for to go do it and everything, and then coronavirus, and they were like, "Oh no, never mind, you can't come right now." Yeah,
definitely
kind of sad.
In a funny way, coronavirus, like I'm always hesitant to say this because it's like, it sounds bad, but I did get a couple of opportunities because of the coronavirus to do some interesting things, because it caused certain people to drop out of certain situations. So I can't make any announcements about it yet, but I got a chance to do some TV work, basically because the person they had lined up, couldn't do it. They didn't feel comfortable to do it, so I got to kind of jump in, and so it's been a weird, interesting. I've lost some opportunities and gained some opportunities because of it. So it's been a weird year, I think, for everybody.
It balances out in a way, huh?
Yeah.
That's
for
awesome.
Sure.
Yeah.
It was meant to be that way then.
Yeah.
I've been to the Winchester House a couple of different times, and I was there once. The last time I was there, Taps was there, and
oh wow, okay.
We were doing stuff. It was one of the nights we did the flashlight tour there.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Well, I'm surprised they kept tours going when Taps is there. Usually, I've heard their MO is to just shut down the whole place.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy, and we were just we were curious too if we were going to get to go in because they were doing that. But yeah, it was pretty cool. We went in about midnight that night, and then they're doing their thing. You know.
Yeah, that's always awesome. I was in Seattle, and I was like a day or two behind Ghost Adventures once, and I was like, oh man,
That's awesome.
yeah. They were
I'd
like,
just
those
like to go to
Netflix
Seattle,
series?
period.
Yeah.
One of the only places that I want to go that I've never been. It's just like always been at the top of my list, and I haven't gone there.
Yeah. I guess word spread around. So I ended up interviewing somebody out there about a paranormal incident, and Ghost Adventures had literally just been there. So I guess word spread that was the case, and I walked out of it was like a bar area where they were filming, and I walked out, and there was like a little kid waiting outside for me, and he was like, "Are you Zach? Are you?" I was like, "I'm not him. I'm sorry, bud."
Oh, you should have said one day I might be like,
I
as
know.
famous as him, but I'm not right now.
Yeah. I was like, I wish I had his bank account.
Yeah, no kidding. And his museum.
Yeah, exactly.
To own that many creepy artifacts and haunted objects would be awesome.
It's the dream. Yeah.
Have to go. Good night, Jeff. Irene was talking. She's from Japan. She tells us about all kinds of Japanese folklore and haunted places there in Japan quite a bit. She'll and you can ask her if you have any questions about Japanese folklore. You could always message her, and she'll tell you the information, and research and stuff about whatever entity or thing that it is. Usually,
awesome. Yeah, I love that. I did one. I mean, my whole Instagram and everything is California based, but I did one story about Japan. I think I did it because of the Olympics. I can't remember the reason I did it, but it was an interesting tie-in to it was there's a lot of details to it, but it was basically somebody out there had gotten a hold of some old journals from years and years and years ago, and they were studying Japanese, and they were trying to translate Japanese into English as like a grad student. And basically, as they started translating this story, what it ended up kind of revealing was a Black-Eyed Kids story, which is another famous.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, and it was way before like the early '90s sighting with the Brian Bethel and all that coming out. I mean, this is I can't remember exactly when, but I think over 100 years ago. So it was interesting, and it basically kind of told this story about a kid that kept knocking at the door constantly and
I
bothering this family, and then eventually like
I read the story.
like figure showed up in the house, opened the door, and the Black-Eyed Kid came in and abducted the guy who was writing this journal's wife, and she disappeared. Kind of the whole idea of spirited away, or the missing 411 stuff that people really kind of delve into, where people just vanish. So it kind of tied in all these different weird themes of different paranormal things.
Not the same story. I thought it was the story I had heard, but it's not the same one. That's pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah, it's I think the Japanese flag and a Black-Eyed Kid is on my Instagram picture, and then you can read the story below it.
Oh, I saw the Japanese flag. I didn't click on it though. I'll have to look at it. I thought Irene would probably have said something about it. She didn't say anything. Good evening, Penny. Everyone that's watching.
Yeah, she was on the same time I was on the Parathon. She was on there.
Yeah, was she?
Yeah.
I haven't seen her face in real time. I've only spoken to her through like commenting and stuff, and that's it. I was just seeing if everybody had shared. I was fixing to share this out to all of the groups and stuff really fast. But I was wanting to ask because I watched. This was really intriguing to me, and I thought it was cool, and I think I might have told Jason about it. The 1920 Ouija board mania story in El Cerrito, California. Can you tell about that? Because I never knew about that until I watched your video. I think I might have heard something about it, but I didn't know where it was or anything like that.
Yeah, isn't that kind of an odd story? Basically, it was in the year 1920, so 101 years ago now, almost 102. And basically, the whole town kind of went crazy with Ouija boards. It's I think Robert Murch, who's kind of like the Ouija board expert, really kind of dived into the story. But basically, the town ended up banning Ouija boards just because there were reports of hysteria going around from different people getting the board, and reports of people going crazy, running in the street, taking off their clothes and just going nuts. And every time somebody would get arrested or taken in for it, they would blame the Ouija board. And there was even a police officer that at one point claimed that he was possessed by the devil. So basically, the powers that be of the town gathered together, and they were just like, all right, Ouija boards are out. We are banning Ouija boards from this town. And I could not find any information if that still is true. I mean, I went to El Cerrito, and I went to like the city hall. You could see like I'm recording at City Hall in my video, but I was a little fearful to ask such a kind of insane question to
to rehatch an old wound. No, it's real.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure if I was even gonna get a legitimate answer. I don't know if anybody. The incident is over 100 years old. I'm sure somebody might have known about it, but that's a big chunk of time to pass. So, but I just thought it was a crazy story. I mean, Ouija boards, I think, get a bit of a bad rap at times, but any sort of divination techniques do kind of open you up to whatever is on the other side. You really can't control that for the most part. So it's just interesting that a town kind of had this mass flap of hysteria, and to the point where they made an actual official announcement: Ouija boards are banned.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
That's cool. You could find something like in a newspaper article or an ordinance or something like that.
At the library or something, a library or a town city hall.
Yeah, and you can see the articles. You can actually, I want to say, I show a screenshot of one. Possibly in a video, I can't totally remember, but they are. If you Google it, you can see like the little newspaper clippings of the story. It's interesting.
That is interesting. It's really interesting, especially as big and hype as they are now. And when I was young, I mean, only like 30 years ago, not 100 and something years ago, but like they were pretty big when I was young because my parents, and my mom and my aunt played them all the time, and that's when me and my cousins started messing with them.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
It's just, I guess, crazy to hear that they actually blamed, which I mean, it could have been due to the Ouija board. Sure. They actually blamed a board game, which a lot of people think is just a board game, for such crazy stuff happening. I'm like, see, people, it could be just as responsible.
Well, there's a big like spiritual, thing going on at that time, throughout the country, people experiencing different things with Ouija board and experimenting with it. It'd be cool, like if you could, I don't want to suggest anybody using a Ouija board, but if you go to back, to that area, it kind of makes you wonder if something was attracted to just that area, and if it was still there in a way,
That town is definitely falls in the category of liminal space where people tend to feel like those are window areas where activity is more prevalent to happen. It's really kind of caught in between a bay. You have San Francisco directly across the way there on a bridge, and you kind of have to cut right over. And it's also leading toward another peninsula kind of at the top. So it's sort of like this land area that's in between places. And they always say, water, liminal spaces, all that attracts the activity. Yeah. So it could be something about the area and the town.
It could be, yeah.
Or it could have had to do with humans. It could have had to be started by kicked up occultly, just activated by humans. A lot of the time it is, especially if you involve Ouija boards.
Well, that kind of goes along with that comment right there in a way, because you open up yourself to all the serial killer activity and everything that's happened in California. You in Manson, and you look at the was it the Zodiac, and
Well,
just
100 and something years ago, though, they didn't even probably have all the records from all the nasty, dirty criminal activity that went on. They didn't have as much technology and forensics either. So your next door neighbor could be hacking up their wife, and you may not even know it. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
You might not
it's an
even know.
interesting story for sure. I mean, I feel like Ouija boards didn't totally kind of take that real hard turn into the demonic until like The Exorcist came out with all the Captain Howdy stuff when she was playing it. That's when it really kind of became like, oh, that's a tool of the devil, and and all these things. So yeah, back then it was a little bit more of that parlor game, and we were coming pretty fresh out of the spiritualist movement,
And like seances were very big back then, I feel like.
Right.
Yeah, and then that ties a lot into it. And it's just that you look at that area, and then like I was saying, you look at the serial killer activity, and you look at Hollywood is what you're talking about here. Or you look at Beverly Hills and
Beverly Hills Triangle. Yeah,
it's pretty interesting. And then what's our pal David out there? He owns that house, right?
David Omen, the Omen House.
I mean, that's
the Omen House. Yeah.
And that has to do, of course, next to the Sharon Tate and all that stuff that happened. So
yeah,
again,
definitely.
But you just wonder why those people like that and the cults and everything were attracted to just that area, and it kind of ties into that the Ouija board stuff too. Why that while that happened, why is that all happening there?
I think there's a lot of freedom of spirituality that would be more accepted there also. That's not the same as where we're from. We live in Oklahoma, Arkansas border, and it's like always been
okay.
up until more ghost adventures and things like that became more prevalent and more viewed. It had been my whole life. I grew up and I had weird experiences my whole entire life, and I was always told, "Shh, don't tell people, they'll think you're crazy." Because I grew up in like the Bible Belt of the Bible Bells of the Bible Belts.
Sure, yeah.
And this town is still like that. It doesn't matter how many ghost adventures. It doesn't matter how many investigators. It doesn't matter how many famous people say there's ghosts. This town is still like that.
Definitely. I'll be making my way out there. So I in about a month. So I'm prepared. But I have a few friends down there in Mississippi. In that area. I'll also be going out to Arkansas. And there is a lot of, I am told a lot of that where it's a lot more hush hush, but there's just a lot of activity too. So it's difficult to kind
of native land. You're going to be in native territory and get ready for some strange native activity, probably.
Yeah, I'm going. It's interesting that actually tying all of this that we've been talking about together. And even into what I'll be doing in Arkansas. You had mentioned the Omen House, and we were talking about El Cerrito with the Ouija boards, and they brought up the Beverly Hills Triangle. Those are all near places called that kind of Lauren Coleman, the cryptozoologist, and John Keel, the famous researcher, kind of coined the name game stuff, where there tends to be more paranormal activity or anomalous activity in places around areas named after something evil, like the devil or hell or something like that.
Yeah, so I saw something put out by that. Like that said
near El Cerrito, we have Mount Diablo, which is a real big mountain range, and there's stories of like phantom black cats out there and weird things. Near the Beverly Hills Triangle, there's a place called Devil's Gate Dam, which is this big rock outcrop. I have a story on that too on my Instagram that literally is the head of the devil. It is so strange how that rock formed that way. And you see the pointed ears, like the brow. And there was a famous occultist, Jack Parsons, who went out there near that rock outcrop and did all these like summoning rituals, using chaos magic, all these strange things. And then once I head out to Arkansas, I'll be going to a place called Devil's Den, where
we know that place.
it's
Yeah.
a state park. And this guy Terry Lovelace wrote. He's written like 2 books now about how he got abducted out there. And there's a lot of weird, interesting tie-ins to like missing 411.
Yeah.
And kind of like, you know, getting abducted, but also having like these telepathic sort of messages sent to him all throughout his life that kind of tie into paranormal activity. So there's something to all of that. You know, I don't know what all that means exactly, but there's an interest. You see the patterns, and that's kind of what we're all supposed to do, right? Is follow the patterns. So
yeah, that's interesting. You're talking about Devil's Den because my mom and my aunt that played the Ouija board all the time, and my 2 cousins and my sister actually got lost out there for hours and hours and hours and hours at Devil's Den, and it was almost like it flew by, like it just like the time was just gone, and before we knew it, it was nighttime, and we could not find our way out of there. And finally, we found our way to where we could see some kind of light to find a highway to get back to where we needed to find our vehicle.
Wow. That is one of the most common reports out there is the missing time stuff, where it feels like time sort of doesn't work the same anymore in some odd way. And there's a lot of tie-ins to like the old Fae lore where they, you know, they would kind of go into the land of the fairies and time wouldn't make sense, and they would see the moon out in the day and the sun out at night and all these weird things. And there's so many people that go missing out in Devil's Den. I mean, there's so many reports of it. That's interesting. I'm probably then, Rose, gonna reach back out to you when I get further along with this project that I'm working on and get your story, because that
would be awesome.
That place is strange.
I haven't really thought about it in a long time about what happened that day. Yeah,
I've gone camping there several times. It's only like 45 minutes up the road from us right now, so I mean,
pretty close to us.
It's not far at all. You know,
I'll be out there in early February, so I'm gonna be full boots on the ground, looking into it for sure. I'm excited. I'm excited for it. I'll be going out there and to Eureka Springs Crescent Hotel.
That's my favorite place. I love it so much.
Yeah, I've gone there so many times. I know, Rosie's been there countless times. I have, you know, it's
I used to go there every Halloween. It used to be a tradition because in Halloween they do special activities there that kind of amplify the activity. They do a spooky ghost stories in the back around a bonfire behind the hotel around Halloween time. Yeah, and there's a zombie crawl, and the whole community is like involved, and it's just like this big, huge, crystal loving, metaphysical hippie town. It's just
okay. I dig it. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah,
you'll love it. You will like it a lot, probably, especially if you're from California.
Yeah, definitely all new. So I'll be going down to Arkansas and then to Mississippi, and I'm going to try to check out the Crossroads with Robert Johnson.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's a lady that is on another show with me, and she's got a place or a team called Backroads Paranormal, and she lives not far from there, and she was telling me about that place and wanted me to come out there and go with her to the Crossroads. She knows quite a bit about it. I don't know anything about it really, but
yeah, I've always kind of wanted to go there ever since I heard those stories, you know. And you got what's his face that, you know, sold the devil for the guitar and all this, you know, play, and then it's interesting for sure. It always sounded really cool for me. You know, I've just never been there.
Yeah, and see, you know, that's kind of the tie-in, these stories that are just kind of floating out there on the internet, right? That, you know, or they're just like old tales that have been told and spun. You know, it's hard to know the truth, but it's really cool to kind of go to these places, check them out, and just kind of get the feel and the vibe and to see what they look like now, but to also imagine what they would have looked like back then. That was the whole spirit of, you know, starting my channel and these little adventures that I get to do.
Yeah, you know, it's crazy because about interesting about that one story in particular is, you know, like everybody that knew that guy always said he sucked. Like he couldn't play a tune. and all of a sudden he
Right.
comes back like he's like this blues legend, out of, in a short amount of time. It's really crazy. So I mean, something might have happened there.
Yeah, yeah. I can't remember what. There's a really famous musician that apparently listened to one of his main songs, and he's one of the greatest guitarists of all time, and he claims that he couldn't even replicate what Robert Johnson was doing, and he said to him it sounded like two different people were playing the guitar at one time, and the legend is the other person playing the guitar, right, is the devil. So there, those kinds of stories are, hard to get any kind of proof on them. But man, those are the creepy, cool stories that always kind of, drive me to go check out stuff.
Yeah, you can do. What's cool is like you can go and you can listen to you can find that where it's recorded. You can listen to it. So and form your own opinion. But then also going back to the Devil's Den thing is like I listened to the entire story about the guy that wrote the books there from being abducted.
Terry Lovelace.
I was listening to Coast to Coast, I think it was.
Okay.
And, I was listening to that entire story, and I was like, man, that's right up the road for me. And I was like, that's pretty cool.
He's actually been to Fort Smith, Arkansas before, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, probably, yeah. And probably not.
Yeah. The interesting thing about his story is that they were up in like the middle of Missouri, and he kept saying they could have went camping anywhere, but he and his friend that did the camping trip felt really compelled for some reason. They said it was almost like outside of them both. They felt really compelled to go down to Devil's Den, and they're like, "What? Why was that happening?"
Yeah.
Yeah. The last time I went there, it felt weird like that. But I didn't get lost the last time I went there. It was a few years ago. I didn't get lost this time.
No, I had a nice camping trip last time I was there too. But we usually go in like, October, November-ish.
Yeah. Somebody's asking where it's at. It's Winslow, Arkansas, right? I think is the nearest town.
Yeah, there's a couple of communities. There's not really like Fayetteville is probably the closest like big city, really. But there's little towns. I wouldn't even really call them towns necessarily, but like Winslow, like you're talking about, Chester, there's
It's really interesting. You said Fayetteville, which is derived from Faye for the fairy, and people like.
What's even more weird, I have a friend that just told me he's in from Christmas. He just told me right before this show that he's in Fayetteville right now, visiting for Christmas. And he's been messaging me. It's funny.
Okay. That's
He's from California. Yeah, he's from San Diego. He lived there for quite a while, and then he also lived in he lived overseas. Him and his wife went to learn Chinese language to teach children Chinese and English, or Chinese children English.
Missouri, it's not that far, really. If you really wanted to come down to Devil's Den from there, there's also a legend of the spook lights. It's on the border of Missouri and Oklahoma, right outside of Joplin, and it's not that far to really, if you wanted to venture up there from like Devil's Den or something. It's
yeah. No, I'm definitely going to try to check all that stuff out for sure. I've yet to go down to that area, so this will all be new for me. My stuff has been 99.9% all California for a while, so it'll be cool to actually properly get out on the road and see some new stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So I want to ask, what are you going to say? I wanted to ask one of the questions.
Are you driving in from California?
Oh no, I'll be flying out. I'll be flying in to Jackson, Mississippi.
Okay. I'm curious.
Yeah,
I made that drive before. I was like, yeah, that's a ways.
No, definitely not making that drive. I've
drove
made some
there,
crazy
and I
drives.
didn't think it was a waste. I saw a lot of cool stuff on the way as I got closer.
Not a waste. I said it was a ways.
Oh, they said a waste. I was like, no way. Road trips are never a waste.
No, it takes a bit.
I don't know how you say this. The OJ vampire, the Ojai.
Oh, that's a funny word to say, right? Ojai. It
Oh,
doesn't
oh
even.
hi, oh hi.
Yeah. Oh hi. Yeah. OJAI. Oh hi
Yeah.
vampire.
Okay.
Yeah, that story. Sometimes some of these stories, you tell them, and you think some of them tend to be maybe a little more tongue in cheek than other ones. Some can be really serious and have so many
Mhm.
accounts. But it's funny how this stuff all kind of works, and you can never really discredit or discount the phenomena as a whole. Um, so the story of the Ojai vampire, it takes place like shortly before Dracula even came out. The novel Dracula was released. There was
Yeah.
apparently a European uh, person who moved out to Ojai, California, and was a recluse, had land out there. Ojai is a little north of Los Angeles, and kind of just like lived in the woods. And as time went on, the communities like farm animals started disappearing, wildlife was dwindling, and people started to feel like this guy was a vampire. And he kind of built this bad reputation. So the story goes that basically a mob formed, and they went out and they drove a stake through his heart and killed him. Um, uh, and
I hope he was a vampire.
I know, right? So there's this rumor that he was buried in this tomb that had a window, and you could still see the stake through his heart. And it was supposed to be like, if you ever took the stake out, he would come back to vampire form. So it's one of those stories, again, like I was saying, cool story, crazy stuff, but it's really hard to find an actual source for any of this. If it's just folktale and urban legend, kind of gone crazy. But I put the video out, and I found it, a really cool story. And I've actually been out to the park where he's supposed to be entombed, and I tried my best to find it. I couldn't find anything. I went out to another cemetery near there and tried to find stuff. And ironically, when I went out to the cemetery, one of the first graves I saw in big letters was my last name, which was kind of weird. But I have a really kind of not common last name, Valenzuela, and it was in a really old cemetery. So it was really weird to see my last name in a really old cemetery like that. I hadn't really seen that much. So that was a weird thing. But the oddest thing about it is I put out the story, and somebody that follows my page, she just so happened to be vacationing in Ojai. They have a really nice resort out there at the time. She watched my story like before bed, and when she woke up in the morning, and I reposted this on my story the next day, she sent me a video where she was literally showing her neck, and she had what looked like 2 puncture marks on her neck.
Wow.
And she's not somebody that that is really like a paranormal person. Her page is a lot more like scary movies and stuff like that. So like it wasn't something where I felt like, oh, somebody would kind of say this to drum it up. I genuinely believed it. It was just the strangest thing. And sure enough, it looked like 2 vampire puncture marks, and she was in Ojai, had watched the video on the Ojai. This stuff has almost like a trickster element to it.
Yeah.
So who knows? The Ojai vampire, in my book, maybe there's something to that.
Oh, wow.
Or the vampire ghost that still resides there.
Yeah,
The Ojai vampire. And he heard her watching it, and he was
away.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. So it said, I'm from Long Beach. If you ever get the time to go check out Catalina Island, not so much mysterious things go on there, but the island is said to be full of activity of the paranormal kind, said Steve.
Yeah, just like we were talking about at the beginning there, right when like lockdown kicked in and COVID happened, that was my next filming spot, was going to be Catalina Island. And I haven't been able to make my way out there since. But yeah, that is coming. So I'll have some Catalina Island posts in the not too distant future. So yeah, I'm definitely Going to be heading out there very, very soon.
Awesome. I'll keep watching. I'm gonna mark that one off the list.
He had mentioned Long Beach. Long Beach has the Queen Mary, which is
Yeah.
Mount Rushmore of haunted places in California for sure. That place is it's closed right now, from what I understand.
Which is sad.
Yeah. But I got to do a ghost tour out there too, and I got to check it out. I never got to make a video out there, which I regretted. That was going to be in the same Catalina Island trip. So, but I took some pictures of it, and I have a post about it, and a long post about the hauntings on there. Peter James, the old psychic from like back in the day, he was on Sightings a lot. Felt that place was super haunted. And
where's he from?
Peter James. Oh, I think he was out here in California. I can't totally remember, but he was.
I've heard that name before.
He was on Sightings. Yeah, that show. It was like on the Sci-Fi Channel in the early '90s. I think Fox too. I watched it a lot as a kid. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because I guess they're having problems with the boat sinking. Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Apparently, there were a lot of discussions about, do we just scrap it, which I really hope they rally around it and protect it, because man, that place is awesome. It like that should never ever happen. I mean, it's such a historical ship, outside of the paranormal stuff, but it is like a paranormal Disneyland. I would be so heartbroken if it went away.
What would be really sad is if they dissect it and scrap it.
Yeah.
Because not only does that take a lot of money, resources, and man hours, it's going to separate all the pieces.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to set up another, like, if they put it in a shipyard, then you could still possibly find a way to check it out.
Yeah.
Or to get permissions to investigate it. But if they pull it apart and send it off somewhere, it's going to be like the old bastard car that
James Dean, right?
Yeah, that was separated into all these different pieces and dissected and moved everywhere. But all the pieces were supposed to be haunted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would probably be a similar thing. I read an article, I can't remember when, but it pretty much broke down that it costs almost just as much to dismantle the ship than it is to restore it. So
it does, yeah.
Why not just keep it going?
And make the money off of the tours or off of the allure of everyone that just wants to visit it. Make your money back eventually.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully it's there to stay.
They did make it like at one point, like where you can stay on the ship, right?
Up until lockdown or when the pandemic really kicked in, it was a functioning hotel that you could stay the night at.
Yeah, but now you're not supposed to be able to, because I was talking to Grace and Vivi and they said that you can't go on it at all right now. Because I told them I swear I saw someone like a month ago post a video, which it could have been an old video pre-recorded, but I saw someone post a video of them live on the Queen Mary like a month ago. Somebody did.
Right. I mean, I'm sure, because it is in Long Beach. It's a pretty much in the Hollywood circle there. So I'm sure there's a lot of people that still get on it for filming purposes or things like that. Yeah. So I know the Travel Channel just did a special with I think Jack and Kelly Osbourne where they got the ship pretty much all to themselves. So there's still things like that go on. So certain people that work in that industry might be able to pop on it,
like the Osbournes.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, who doesn't want them to come on there? If they sign a waiver and they're okay that their hand gets cut off, then we don't care.
Exactly.
They can go on it because they're the Osbournes.
Yeah, I know. That'd be great.
I do like them though. I think they're very entertaining.
Yeah.
I like Ozzy a lot too.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you. We're talking about the Parsons guy earlier. And I watched a video where you had said something about him being involved in rocket science, but he was also involved with Aleister Crowley.
Yeah, Jack Parsons is probably to me the most interesting story that I've come across. I like. There's so many different things that in the paranormal that seem to tie back to that guy. It's kind of crazy. There's a lot there. pretty much Parsons was responsible really for us kind of developing NASA in a way. Like he was really the guy that kind of pushed forward the jet propulsion formula to allow us to have rockets to eventually go to the moon and to help win the war and all these things. He was a brilliant scientist in that way. He was a chemist, but quite at the beginning quietly, and then very publicly later on. He was also an occultist. He was a Thelemite, and he was a disciple of Crowley. He wrote letters to him back and forth, and Crowley saw him as a proper heir to take over. He would go into the Arroyo Seco Dam in Pasadena and do a lot of these different rituals. He was trying to produce a moon child, which is basically like an antichrist in a way. He was working with
seance or summoning or something.
Yeah, summoning stuff. He was working with L. Ron Hubbard from Scientology at the time. They were both living in Parsons' house. And he did a lot of different crazy things that a lot of people feel like opened up some sort of entryway into perhaps another dimension, something odd. Shortly before he did all these rituals, or shortly after he did all these rituals, that's when we really kind of had the big flying saucer flap. And apparently the guy that really saw the first flying saucer, Kenneth Arnold, up in Washington, there's reports that he and Parsons were friends. So there's a weird tie-in to all this stuff. And that, once again, he did a lot of this stuff in Devil's Gate Dam. We go back to that whole thing. So it's just a really, Parsons is just such an interesting character to a point where you can, I've read plenty of books where a lot of people say like he might have been responsible for this whole new wave of strange things, because after that we started having strange creatures appear like Mothman and just things that didn't even make a lot of sense, whereas before it was a little bit more subdued with the things people saw. So who knows what he was potentially responsible for or what he did, but he's definitely a prominent figure in paranormal history.
As Adam said, I guess that's where the term flying saucer came from, was the guy that...
Where the term... It kind of popped up during the 40s, like the 1947 flap when Kenneth Arnold saw them. I think it was just sort of coined at one point. They look like saucers flying out there. But it came in that early wave of the late 40s, 1947. And that year was just all chock full of weird things altogether.
Yeah. It's strange that they're connected to each other, and they had both had been in an area of flying saucer activity, and then of a kind of like higher source of thinking, a higher way of thinking, to be able to be, like resourceful enough and intelligent enough to be involved with NASA. And then they both had supposedly sightings of celestial beings,
yeah, exactly. I mean, it goes into this stuff where are UFOs and cryptids and ghosts, are they all connected? Is it all part of something more?
Or did they communicate with them? Like, did they share some kind of like mental connection or celestial connection with them, or receive some kind of data from them?
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, when you throw in things like these ritual practices, I mean, who knows what that has the potential to do.
Maybe the aliens are saying, stop being stupid down there, you're killing humanity. No. Yeah. And then we're going to take over.
The funny thing about that area that Parsons did all that stuff too is after that it became another one of those window areas we talk about. They call that the Arroyo Triangle, from Devil's Gate Dam to there's the Colorado Street Bridge in Pasadena, which got the term Suicide Bridge because it's famous for a lot of people jumping off of it, and then down to this place called the Cobb Estate. That whole little triangle area is just full of weird haunting stories, people disappearing, weird lights and things. So I mean, it's that's another one of those things where we get these little areas, these triangle areas that tend to have a lot of paranormal activity.
Yeah, and then you go back to talking about the, Crowley and all the stuff that he was into, and you wonder, did he actually, was he able to, summon the devil, or how, there's all kinds of questions surrounding what he was about, and all the stuff that, of course, all the stuff he was involved in, and like you said too, it kind of branches out into the people that followed what he did. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, there's even stories about where he used to live on Loch Ness. So some people think the Loch Ness monster is a conjured thing. That's why you can never find a body. That's why the eDNA samples don't produce anything, because it's not a flesh and blood creature. It's sort of a manifestation in a way. So who knows?
yeah. I think though, if you were gonna follow somebody and like a living person, and they're claiming to do all these things or whatever, obviously you're gonna want some kind of proof that he can deliver on what he's talking about. So, that just leads me to wonder, like, what did he do? Like, what did he conjure? What did could he show somebody, like, okay, these are my demons that I'm control of, or whatever it is. But you're gonna want proof. You're not gonna just want to follow somebody just because they say so. So
right.
There was
Exactly.
supposed to have been eyewitness accounts of paranormal activity in his home or whatever the building is that he did all this stuff in, that people had gone in there. I don't know if it was investigators or if it was just normal people had gone in there and saw and heard weird things that they could not explain they couldn't see it with the human eyes. They saw things levitate or something like that, and they heard weird growling noises and stuff that weren't human. I read an article somewhere like that.
He's a mysterious figure. I mean, there's going to be stories that follow that guy for many more years to come. I mean, he's definitely he and his, disciples, if you want to call them that, definitely contributed to a lot of odd things that that have changed the face of high strangeness, I think, forever.
I think, though, he had to have something to him. If someone as intelligent enough to, like, be affiliated with NASA or the formation of NASA, if someone that intelligent followed him, he couldn't have just been an idiot that was just blowing.
Sure. Yeah.
There had to be some kind of tricks that he was performing.
Something happened there. That what exactly it all comes out to, I don't know. But gosh, a lot of things come back to Crowley and Parsons, and I think there's something really there. I do. I think there's something to that story. Don't know what it is, though.
yeah, it'd be interesting if you could visit that house in Loch Ness. But I think it burnt down, or they tore one or the other. They burnt down or tore down.
It's not there still, I don't think.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I can't. But yeah, I'm struggling to remember the name. But yeah, it was there, for sure.
Yeah, I know there was a rock star that bought it. I can't remember. There was a rock star that bought it at one point, but I don't remember who it was.
So yeah.
Was it? I can't think of his name.
But then, yeah, it died. Or it's no longer there now. So
yeah. Party too hard. They partied too hard.
Partied too hard.
They woke the dead, and then it just didn't go good after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it goes into what you're saying about that, what is Nessie? That just people do contribute that to Crowley. Some people do. So I don't know.
That's definitely one of the things. I've always thought that was interesting, just in regards to cryptids as well, where a lot of cryptid stuff, people report other strange things. In the Mothman prophecies, people would see the Mothman, and then they'd come home and have poltergeist activity happening. And I read these 2 books not too long ago called Where the Footprints End, and it's basically a lot of Bigfoot stories, but also dealing with like all these other weird hauntings and
Mhm.
UFO activity and other strange. There's a Black-Eyed Kids story that's associated with Bigfoot sightings. So, I mean, it's that kind of stuff is interesting. You know, are these cryptids flesh and blood, or is there something more going on there? Are they both? I mean, I love entertaining those ideas and thinking about it. And I think it's important whenever you do boots on the ground investigation and you jump into these stories, you report what people claim to have happened to them. You don't want to wash out details or eliminate things. It's report the stories as they are, because I think it's important to gather all of that type of data and put the stories out there. Like, this is what this person experienced. And when you do that enough, then you'll be able to recognize patterns, and that's where we'll be able to make hopefully some progress in all this stuff. So
It helps build credibility with your audience also.
yeah, exactly.
If they
Yeah,
know that you paid attention to the details enough to report them the way that they were, then that helps build like a good credibility, I think. You
definitely.
didn't change all the stuff and make, whatever, make it your own story for entertainment purposes. You stuck to what you knew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we've had many of conversations about the cryptid thing and the UFOs coexisting at the same time in the same area. And, what's that about? Are they working together? Is Bigfoot a scout? What's going on? Because
Right.
it just seems like they're reported together a lot, and especially living in Oklahoma here, we get the kind of the southeastern part of Oklahoma, Bigfoot country down in there. Lots of reports, and then you hear about the UFOs in the same area, so you wonder like what's going on with that and how they working together, or are they, or coincidence? What's going on?
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, those are important questions to ask for sure. I mean, it's good to look at things individually, but it's also important to, I think, take a holistic view, that that far back view, and see where the tie-ins come in, and then evaluate from there. So that it's part of the investigation. It's part of what makes it fun too, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's fun to look into all these things too. I love it. I get a kick out of it for sure.
It reminds me of Nancy Drew.
Yeah. Nancy
In a way.
Drew, or
Yeah.
you could be the Winchester. We were just talking about Supernatural before we came on the air. Be your own version of the Winchester brothers.
That's always good to watch before you go to sleep. If you don't remember dreams, or if you have boring ones anyway. What about the witch house in Beverly Hills? That place looked so creepy. I want to go there so bad. Is it still there?
Yeah. That's one of the only ones that I've ever posted where there isn't actually any paranormal activity reported there, but it's just a cool looking house that I just felt like I really wanted to put out there. Just, it looks like you're in Alice in Wonderland or something. You're walking up, or the Wizard of Oz, and just like a creepy old Hansel and Gretel style house.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, and it's in the middle of like a suburb of Beverly Hills. There's like normal homes and stuff all around it, and then you walk up, and there's just she puts out like these fake creepy crows, in the house. So it's a cool place. It's definitely cool, but it's really close to, as somebody brought up earlier, the Beverly Hills Triangle, which has a bunch of paranormal reported activity around it. So, I mean, Los Angeles in general is just such an interesting town. I mean, there, we think of it, with the movie stars and sunshine and the beach and all these things, but there's also a lot of like seedy, sad, messed up things that have gone down there. So it's a really interesting place. It's bright and shiny, but it has its shadows for sure too.
Oh yeah, especially in the entertainment industry and the movie and filmmaking industry.
Yeah, definitely. And you
so
go
wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, you go through so many places in Los Angeles, and they're places where you associate with entertainment and fun, but they're you'll hear a ghost story about them, like the Roosevelt Hotel, the Comedy Store, which is like a famous place for stand-up comics to get their break. All these places are supposed to be very haunted. I heard a story about the Comedy Store once where one of the comics was there really, really late and was down in the basement, and basically it just sounded like a war was going on. Like everything started rattling, and he heard screaming and chanting, and he got the heck out of there. So it's. I stayed at the Roosevelt Hotel, which is like, movie star central, and it's there's a bunch of haunted rooms there. People claim to see the ghost of Marilyn Monroe in a mirror. So that's it's a place that holds a lot of energy, and is great if you're looking for a spooky ghost story.
Yeah, I heard some stories from the ghost heroes about that place.
It keeps going. The ghost stories for that area just go on and on and on. I mean, you talk. Somebody brought up. I saw something earlier about the Cecil Hotel. That's a crazy place. The place where Jim Morrison died.
Was the Morrison died there? I was thinking of the Chateau Marmont, but that's I know John Belushi died there, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. It's that town's just notorious for ghosts.
Yeah, I mean there's pretty much you stay at any sort of hotel or anything, you have the ghost stories. The Hollywood studios all have their ghost stories. I know the Paramount lot is reported to be really, really haunted, and right next to the Paramount lot is the Hollywood Forever Cemetery, which has its own ghost stories. You see the woman in black, that's the ghost of the woman in black who's supposed to wander the mausoleum hall towards Rudolph Valentino's grave. Many have claimed to have seen her there. I mean, there's there's just plenty of stories to go around in every sort of facet of the cogs of that town. Hotels, movie studios, venues, we were talking about hospitals before we came on the air being really haunted places. They have the Linda Vista Hospital that was out there that's been featured on a bunch of different ghost shows in East LA. So there's a lot.
Yeah. The Hollywood sign, there's
That's what Adam just said.
The Hollywood sign.
Yeah, there's supposed to be reported spirits
Hollywood sign
there.
Peg Entwistle, she was would-be starlet that had dreams of becoming a movie star, and it just wasn't working out for her. She left, hiked all the way up to the Hollywood sign, and I believe she jumped off the H, and now they claim to see her ghost wandering the hills up there. I did a story on that too, or a post on that, and I actually went to her old house, filmed that. So it's sad, and apparently the story goes she got like a breakthrough role the very next day that came in the mail. So it's just crazy stuff. It's a place where a lot of people go with a lot of hopes and dreams, right? And sadly, a lot of people don't reach them, and they have to turn away. And so those emotions, the highs and the lows of those emotions, definitely contribute to the energy and the
things that they do to try to get those dreams to happen sometimes come back to haunt them in the end.
Sure. Definitely.
I know there's in the Roosevelt Hotel, I remember seeing Kelly Osbourne on an episode with the psychic medium in the Roosevelt Hotel and connecting to some suicide victims' spirits, and I think another victim that might have been shot there. A man.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
At the Roosevelt Hotel, there were several spirits there, and they brought in a psychic medium. I can't remember her name, but she's pretty famous. And she clarified like all of the reports that they had been getting from the people that were staying in the rooms, specific rooms, anyways, that happened in.
Right.
Yeah.
The 9th floor of the Roosevelt is supposed to be the most haunted floor. I stayed on the 9th floor by myself, and it does have an energy. Like I didn't experience anything paranormal myself. I tried. I did a EVP session. I had my night vision camera. I tried some stuff, and I didn't catch any solid evidence on camera, but I could feel the strangeness. And I did, unfortunately, and there's nothing I can do about this, I did unfortunately have experience that wasn't on camera.
Mm-hmm.
It was when I was just kind of getting B-roll footage. I was just sort of walking down the halls. This was at 4 a.m. I was trying to get footage. I always try to film at odd hours so that I get less people, so I can really kind of showcase the
Yeah.
place. So I was walking down the hallway of the Roosevelt Hotel, and nobody was around. You know, and you can. The walls there are pretty steady. I mean, I guess I can't 100% claim it was paranormal, but my gosh, I heard somebody what sounded like right behind my ear go psst, like to get your
Mm-hmm.
attention. It sounded right behind my ear. I was in the hallway alone. I spun around, turned around, wasn't anybody around me. And this is 4 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And so I mean that was about as clear as I could hear something. So you know, I think I have a lot of experiences where I get audible things, but yeah, and yet to see like a full-bodied apparition.
You just have to hope that you wrote it down so you remember it even happened. Because if you
Yeah,
don't
no,
get
that
the
one always
evidence
sticks
of
out
it,
to me.
yeah,
I remember. So
yeah,
the Roosevelt definitely has that for sure.
that's
Yeah.
crazy how much stuff actually ends up happening to people when they don't have any cameras or any video or any audio going.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff.
One of the things I do have on my Instagram that is interesting is going back to Devil's Gate Dam. I went into Devil's Gate Dam alone. Like you can actually like climb into the gorge. It's locked, but I found a way in there. And I went in at 3 a.m. I wanted to go during the like Devil's Hour to Devil's Gate Dam.
Yeah,
And one of the legends about it is that there's supposed to be an old Native American legend that was the place of the laughing coyote spirit. That's what they claim.
yeah,
They would claim that they would hear laughing in the dam all the time, and they wouldn't go in there. They felt it was a negative place. So I went in there, and I have my camera recording, and it's on my Instagram. It's in the video titled Devil's Gate Dam 2. I'm adjusting my camera. I'm not recording for content or anything, but I left the camera rolling, and you can very audibly hear a laugh, very, very loud, that I couldn't hear with my own ears, but I heard later as I was editing the video together. Just loud laugh just kind of comes out of nowhere, just ha 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 ha, and it tied into the legend. So I mean, who knows?
That's
either a
crazy.
coyote laugh or some other thing there just mimicking one as you were talking about it, maybe.
You know what's crazy is I haven't really I've talked about the story I think on a couple of podcasts, but there's nothing really on my Instagram to kind of tell it. When I was in the dam, I thought I saw an apparition for a split second, but it was almost like I didn't see it with my eyes. It was almost like I saw it in my mind.
Yeah.
Really weird to explain. Very
That's
vague.
why I see everything, so I know what you mean. Like I don't see it with my naked eyes. I can see it, like get a photo of it, but I can like smell it, or I can feel it, or I can hear it, or just know that it's there. But I don't always see it with my eyes unless it's maybe a shadow, some kind of shadow or something moving. But I don't see
And
them.
it was like the
detailed.
person was like phasing. Like I could see half of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could see half the face and half the arm and towards them, but they were like phasing kind of away. And it was for a millisecond. I didn't tell anybody that story. I kept that to myself. I was like, okay, like I don't know. And it's not on camera. There's no proof.
Yeah.
But I wanted to show people the laugh. I thought that was interesting. So I sent the laugh to a friend of mine who claims to be a psychic. She says she's a sensitive and those things.
Mm-hmm.
So what I thought I saw was a person in a white robe half phasing in and out. And so when I send her this video, she replies to me, "Oh, did you know that there was a person in a white robe standing behind you?"
Did she really?
She did.
Yeah.
I never told anybody that. I kept that
awesome.
story 100% to myself. And when she sent me back that text, my jaw dropped. I was like, that's exactly what I saw.
Did she see it with her medium ability, or did she actually see it in some of the footage that you couldn't see?
just from what I sent her, the video, she claims that she could see a person.
Yeah.
I don't think she meant like visually. I think she meant with her abilities that she
Yeah.
could tell there was a person.
I was wondering if there was some kind of like history of
well,
shape
that's where
shifting or skinwalking.
that's
type.
where Parsons and all those guys would go and do their rituals. And
Oh, is it?
yeah,
That would make sense about the white robe,
white
but it
robe.
makes you wonder, like, were they
And
invoking
I was
an
there
ability?
to try to contact Parsons. I was asking questions for the EVPs to elicit Parsons. I was asking for the spirit of Parsons to come talk to me. So
Maybe it was him.
maybe it was him. I don't know.
Wow.
And the laughing could have just been, who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah.
Creepy stuff though, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it all tied in toward the end, and I was like, well. So to me, that was one of the most prominent paranormal experiences I've had, just because there were so many things that lined up that were outside of anything that I was sort of influencing, and I kept a lot of things to myself, and got some validation later. So yeah, I think there was something that happened that night in that place, and you can hear the laugh on my Instagram if you scroll to the Devil's Gate Dam video. And I want to say I even have it posted just as its own little video by itself, where you can just hear the laugh. It's a little ways down my Instagram, but if you scroll, it's one of the only videos where it's just a little thumbnail video. It's not a full length video.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to go check that place out. Yeah.
I would too.
It's cool. It's definitely it's a creepy place with a vibe for sure.
Yeah, I think the only way to do it is do it like you did, though. Go down there like 3 o'clock in the morning. You know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I got a lot of flack from my mom after when she found out what I did.
What are you doing at them no good hours, boy? Them devil's hours. Them devil's hours will get you. No.
You know what I did too is I and I don't recommend this to anybody. This is a stupid decision I made on my own, but I didn't tell anybody where I was going either. I wanted to, because you always hear these stories where they say that the things happen when the person didn't tell people where they were going.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's what tends to draw out the thing. So I wanted to try to bait out as much of the activity as I could. You know, you get that with a lot of these missing 411 stories where people just vanish because they didn't tell anybody where they were going. Mm-hmm. I wanted to try to bait that. So maybe it kind of worked. I don't know. But also maybe I wanted it too much. I was trying, too hard to get some activity. But yeah, so probably not the best advice, but I did it.
Yeah.
Well, you came back alive.
Came back alive. Yeah.
I can see why your mom probably got after you though if you didn't tell
anybody.
Yeah, exactly. She was like, "Oh, you could have been dead in a ditch or a hole somewhere, and I would have not known where you were."
Yeah. She doesn't like when I was like, I could have been in another dimension. Who knows, Mom?
Yeah, or you could have been turned into some kind of ghoul or wolf or taken away by Aleister Crowley himself to join his whatever.
But that's sort of, there is a little bit of that like Indiana Jones side to it too, where it's kind of fun to go, and you feel like you're on these sort of high stakes adventures. It's just a little coolness to it.
That's funny. It reminds me of Joshua Gates.
Yeah, Josh Gates.
There was one other one. If I don't get to ask you all the questions, that's fine. But I was really, really interested in the one where there was like a bishop or a preacher or somebody that was a ghost. Mission San Buena Ventura.
Oh, right? Yeah. The ghost monks. Mission San Buenaventura. Yeah, that's down in the Ventura County area. That's like just north of Los Angeles. There's reports that, and that's really common with all the missions out here in California. We have the mission system going up and down the California coast. And there's a lot of different ghost stories revolving around ghost monks appearing. you know, those places again. We're talking about places where a lot of tumultuous energy. You know, they were converting Native Americans to Christianity, and I'm sure that wasn't always a smooth thing there. So there's a lot of energy there in those places, and they're really remote places. You get these places, that were places that made sense when they were built, but now are in a lot of kind of isolated areas. So you get that kind of eeriness and remoteness. And I believe
Yeah.
one of the ghost monks just appears, I think, looking for his pet cats.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's that place was really cool. The pictures there definitely kind of add to the creepiness. There's a lot of like odd, spooky statues out there. I was there on like a perfectly sunny day, so I mean, it kind of takes away, and that happens a lot out here in California. It kind of takes away from a lot of the spookiness, because we get a lot of pretty sunny days, unless you get up real far north, closer to Oregon, then you do get that like coastal, foggy, perfect ghost story type of weather. But yeah, that was the mission out there.
Yeah. Did you say there was ghost cats spotted there too?
Ghost cats, yeah.
Okay, I thought so. That's cool. I like me some ghost cats a lot.
Yeah, ghost
Yes.
cats, ghost dogs.
There's some weird things, yeah.
Okay. Are we getting any questions from anybody there?
No, they just said the Hollywood sign is haunted. It's true, Nick. They didn't say. I guess they're just listening to him talk. Because usually we have like all kinds of questions coming in, but I think they're just listening to him tell stories.
Yeah, I could jabber jaws all day about this stuff.
That's the kind of guests we want, though, because I mean, that's good to have a lot of different stories and a lot of different research and places that you've been to, and like all the research that you've done to be able to share it with people that might live near there or want to go there sometime and want to look at these places.
Yeah, I mean, California is a huge state, right? And I mean, there's a lot of stories out here. So I can talk probably for 24 hours straight, and I still wouldn't be near the end, with all the things.
Yeah. Have you ever been to the Star of India?
I have not been to it, but I took a couple of pictures of it from the pier. When I was in San Diego at that time, it was still COVID lockdown.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to actually get onto the ship. But that ship is notoriously very, very haunted.
Yeah.
A little boy fell from one of the higher masses up there and plummeted down. And it's a really old ship. I think it's one of the oldest ships we got out here in California. So it's
it's very awesome and amazing, beautiful ship. I went there in like 2010 or 2009 or 2010. I went on the tour there on that ship or whatever. Really neat.
Yeah, it looked amazing. Yeah, I was dying to jump on. It's San Diego is another town, that just has a lot of different hauntings there. The Whaley House, Star of India, Hotel Del Coronado, the Horton Hotel. There's just so many different haunted locations out there. It's a really old town. The Whaley House is one of the most famous haunted houses I think we have out here in California. Anytime I post anything about the Whaley House, that's the number one place I get the most people reporting back to me that they had an experience there. Yeah, it just seems to offer up paranormal experiences left and right. So
is it an avid place that offers tours and stuff too?
It does. Yep. You could take ghost tours there. It's right in the heart of Old Town San Diego, which is kind of like a cool old Mexico before it was California type of a location with a lot of restaurants and bars and things like that. But it takes you back to another time for sure. And the Whaley House is kind of the main attraction there that to kind of check out. It's been on all the ghost shows. It's super famous.
The Whaley House has. Yeah. I wonder if I've been by there or not. Like if I've seen it and I just didn't know that that's what it was at the time, because I've been to San Diego quite a few times.
there's a good chance if you've ever been to Old Town, you most likely walked right past it or saw it. There's
I remember going by Little Italy,
okay.
but I'm not 100% sure if I went by
Yeah. I don't think that's
Old
right
Town.
by Old Town, but it's yeah. If you ever find your way back to San Diego, check out Old Town and do a
Alright.
Whaley House ghost tour. You'll love it because
Yeah.
it's they really get into it too. I mean, they definitely they lean into it, you know, being haunted versus some places don't necessarily.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
good.
I've watched a lot of stuff on the Whaley House and stuff. It's really cool. It's interesting. I know you've seen it, Rosie. You just don't know you have. But
That's why I'm like, I probably could have walked right by it because I was there for a week a couple years ago in San Diego, and then I was there for a week another time, and I walked everywhere on foot. I didn't even use transportation because walking everywhere on foot is how I like discovered everything that was there. The Star of India. There's another ship that's there that's ported. It's a battleship, and you can go and eat at the restaurant there. And I discovered that by being on foot. And the different hotels and the Gaslight burner district and everything I discovered from walking. Because if I was driving, I would have drove right past it. You know,
it's a pretty town to walk through for sure. I mean,
and the people there were just
weather,
people there were pretty interesting.
yeah, that too.
And the ball field, what is it? Where the Padres and the Dodgers play?
Yeah,
I got to go there because I was on foot and watch a game there. You know.
yeah. No, that's a really pretty baseball stadium for sure. It's like right in the middle of downtown, so it's
yeah, it is.
Yeah, and you know they get all the they get a lot of conventions out there. Like Comic-Con.
Yeah, Comic-Con in July usually. Yeah. Though I had just came right after Comic-Con, like the day after Comic-Con, I got there.
Okay.
I was so sad, but I was there.
Yeah. They also now have they have the USS Midway out there, which I don't think you could visit. I could be wrong, but that was the ship I think that all the fighter jets were on that saw the Tic Tac UFO that's real famous now.
Yeah.
That was off the coast of San Diego out there where they saw that Tic Tac looking thing just darting around and the fighter pilots couldn't even keep up with it. So there's a lot of stuff in San Diego that ties back into all this weird anomalous phenomenon stuff. So yeah, San Diego.
Coronado Island is pretty cool too. And Point Loma.
Yeah. The lighthouse in Point Loma is haunted.
I feel like you went to Point Loma, didn't you? I think. Did you do a video?
I didn't get I didn't post anything about the lighthouse just yet, but I do have the story. So I should post that at some point.
And there's an active national cemetery there on that reservation too, where Point Loma is at.
Yeah. So there's a lot out there.
Yeah.
We've been to San Diego. I've been to San Francisco and San Jose and all that area right there. You know, a couple of different times. So I haven't ventured out really past that in anywhere in California. So I want to, but
those are the heavy spots for sure. The Bay Area, San Francisco, San Jose, and then LA to San Diego. Those are definitely the most visited areas. But there are other little pockets of California that have interesting stories themselves. I did a story on a lighthouse pretty much at the very northern tip of California. You're about 20 minutes from Oregon, and it's in a place called Crescent City. And the lighthouse is supposed to be haunted, but the cool thing about it is you can only access the lighthouse at low tide. So as soon as the tide rises, you're trapped on an island with a haunted lighthouse and you can't leave. And it reminded me of that story, The Lady in Black. I think it was a movie with the guy that played Harry Potter, Daniel Radcliffe, where he would have to drive to this old Victorian home and he would be stuck at the house with this ghost, the Lady in Black. And the only way you could get there was the road to it was available at low tide. And as soon as the tide came in, you were trapped. So it reminded me of that. It was a really cool setting. The whole town had a really eerie vibe to it. It reminded me something out of a Stephen King book. It was always foggy. I mean, I went there in the middle of the summer.
Have you seen The Fog?
Yeah. It was just like that.
That reminded me of what you're saying about The Fog.
Yeah, and there's this air horn from the ocean kind of coming out every couple of seconds, and it just
Wow.
it adds this like weird ambiance to the town.
Is
It's
there
like,
like a bell too? You know the
yeah,
bell
yeah,
sound I'm talking about, like the ported ship bell sound or whatever.
yeah, exactly, all of that. So it was like very cinematic, very
I need to go
perfect
there.
kind of setting for a ghost story, and I loved that, and that's something you're not going to really come across in a lot of the like bigger towns out here, and it's way at the edge. So I love that. I that's one of my favorite places that I visited.
Well, in San Francisco, you go across the bridge, and I forget what they actually call that little town right there, but you go up on the big hill that overlooks the bay and Alcatraz and all that stuff. But on the other side of that hill, you can see that there's a lighthouse out there. I didn't get to go down to. I wanted to, but I don't know anything about it. I just know I saw it out there. So.
Yeah, I think that might be Point Reyes. I think the
Yeah,
lighthouse.
I
I
was just
think
fixing to say that I've been there.
yeah, and I think that town's like Sausalito. I think.
Yeah,
That's where the
absolutely.
fog was recorded at. The fog, the movie.
Okay.
It was Point Reyes.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I was just Googling. I just watched that movie last night.
Oh, okay. There
Yeah.
you
I started staying up all night watching. I watched that before Supernatural. That's like one of my favorite movies ever. So
yeah.
yeah.
Last time I was there, I decided to go driving around Sausalito down there, and man, it's I couldn't even begin to think how much it costs to live right there. But
Oh, yeah.
you know,
It is. Trust me, I have to live with two roommates to stay afloat out here. It's
Yeah.
it is not. We got changed as soon as all these tech companies started coming in. I mean, I technically live in the Silicon Valley, right? So it is. If you're not like a bigwig engineer or something, it is tough out here. It is. It's definitely not cheap, but it's pretty. I mean, and the funny thing is for me, it's home too. It's my family's all from here, so it's not like I chose to kind of jump in here. It's like, oh yeah, this is where I'm from, and you almost get priced out.
yeah, man, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I think next time I hit San Francisco, I'm gonna try to get down to that lighthouse because I really wanted to last time. I just didn't make it down there.
Yeah.
We
I mean,
actually went there
San
not long
Francisco's
ago.
great. Alcatraz, you'd mentioned Alcatraz. I mean, that.
I would like to go there. I haven't been there, and I would love to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ghost House, Paranormal, New Jersey. Hello.
Hello.
You want to talk about Disneyland real quick before the show's over? Some of the
Yeah.
phenomena at Disneyland.
Let's jump into Haunted Disneyland for sure. Yeah, I mean it's funny, right? It's the happiest place on earth. That's their moniker for the theme park. But there's a lot of ghost stories. I mean, like we were talking, that's what brings a lot of people out to visit California is Disneyland. I mean, it's just true.
And the deaths that have occurred there that nobody really hardly talks about too.
Yeah, there's a lot of deaths that have occurred there in interesting situations. So a lot of the rides are reported to be haunted. Like the Pirates of the Caribbean, Small World ride.
Yeah, I've heard of that one being haunted.
Ironically, the Haunted Mansion is supposed to be haunted. Disneyland had a lot of problems with people. I think they still have these issues where they dump ashes out and on the rides. Because people love these rides so much, the beloved rides.
When I die, I want you to cremate me and let me go at Disneyland. Right?
Right, exactly.
That said, let me go on sprinkle me on the ocean. It's already haunted anyways,
but now some people are like, sprinkle me on, the
Parts of the Caribbean.
So they get that. Like, I think one of the main stories is that at the end of the Haunted Mansion, there's that ghost woman that kind of stands there and she's like, hurry back or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have reported seeing like a little boy sitting near there crying, and then he fades away, disappears.
Oh, gosh.
The Walt Disney's private apartment over the Disneyland fire station right when you walk into the park, right before Main Street, I believe. There's his apartment complex over the fire department, and I think there's a famous story where the maid who would go and clean, would turn off the light in his room, and the thing was the light was supposed to be on when Walt was in, and so she would clean, she'd turn off the light, and then she would come back, and the light would be on again. She wasn't turning it on. And I think they started to realize, like, oh gosh, he's turning the light on. He died. So it's a funny place. Disneyland. Also, we were talking about places that almost never close, that have a lot of people coming in and out. There's a lot of energy, a lot of things going on. It's a place that's gonna, eventually end up being haunted. You have so much of that activity going on.
And that is like a mass quantity of human bodies in one place over and over and over again, just like revolving, back and forth between parks and in and out of those parks, just mass quantities of human bodies walking around in one place at one time. Just, I can't even. I
hadn't been there in over a decade, and I went just this last summer, and I was just in shock. I've forgotten how packed and crowded that place gets.
Did you go to Star Wars?
I did, yeah. I got to go check out Star Wars, yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah. It felt time. Like, they had added so many different things. I was like, okay, I should go again. So me and all my buddies kind of went out there.
Do they have the King Kong thing there now?
I think King Kong is at Universal Studios.
Okay.
Yeah, which is my favorite. I'm a Universal Studios Monsters fan. I got the shirt.
Yeah. I didn't even put the words are over it. Yeah, we live.
I funnily, Universal I think is my favorite, but most people love Disneyland. I mean, I get it, but I love Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios.
Yeah.
And stuff. So.
I want to go there one day so bad to see that.
Yeah, it's awesome. I've gone every year for probably like 10 years now. It's I love it. It's my
like
favorite.
Your Crescent Hotel. Crescent Hotel is probably not anything like that, but the Crescent Hotel is like that for me.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Probably not as exciting as that, but it's pretty exciting to me.
Oh, I'm excited to check out the Crescent. I can't wait. I mean, that's one of the places you hear about so often as being like,
you're gonna get some activity for sure.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to request one of the haunted rooms for sure.
Yeah.
Room 209 if you can get it.
209. Okay. You know what? I got to make those reservations, so I'm gonna see if I could. I'll be there like in the middle of the week too, so it should hopefully work out. It's probably hard to get on a weekend. Yeah.
Even when you go to the bathroom, take photos, because there was a story about a male ghost that haunted their women's restroom, and then they supposedly swapped the restrooms. And the first time I ever caught anything was in the restroom, and it was like blank photo, a big smoky looking like apparition. It looked like in one of the stalls, and then another one, and then blank photo, nothing there. And no smoking in there or anything. So I don't remember if it was supposed to be like his cigar smoke. I want to think that they said, but he would peep in on the women and they had to swap the bathrooms out or something like that. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you got to take advantage at all moments when you're investigating, right? Even the bathroom moments, because you never know when you're going to catch something. That's for sure.
Yeah, we should get with you when you come in. So
I'll reach out. I'll let you guys. I'll give you guys the dates, and we could definitely check something out. I would love that. Yeah, that'd be fun. Do a little impromptu investigation or something for sure.
Yeah.
There was somebody.
Maureen, was it? I can't read it.
And she said, "I don't know if y'all are seeing my comments," and I'm like, "Yeah, I saw them." I said, "Hello, Jersey." So she knew that.
Jersey. I've been out to Jersey too. And I drove through Clinton Road, which is like a haunted road out there. So I'm sure she knows all about that. And you're supposed to get like followed by like a phantom truck that's supposed to chase you. This is another funny story. This sounds like I totally made this story up, but So I'm out there on the road with my buddy, and we're driving down Clinton Road, and we're trying to find this have this phantom truck experience. Lo and behold, behind us, these big bright headlights come out, and they start gaining on me in kind of a road rage kind of way, and I'm in utter disbelief. I'm like, no way, this can't be real. And he gets really close to our car, and so I kind of speed up and I keep going, and then he fades away. And I'm like, no. I'm like, I need this to, this can't be real. So I basically stop my car in the middle of the road and wait. And it's a good few seconds. And then sure enough, the headlights come again. And I'm like, this really can't be happening. And I keep driving, and this guy is just getting on me. And eventually the road, you do get to like a light. The road does kind of end, and he went off to the other way. I darted across 2 lanes to try to catch him as we're making a hard left turn, and he keeps going. I think he ran a red light. It was very weird. But the one thing that I caught is his license plate had the word monster written on it, which I just kind of found ironic and weird. It was not a phantom truck. I could tell this was a real truck, but it completely followed the story. And then, the phantom truck and the license plate of the truck said monster. So I was like, is this a crazy person trying to keep up this legend, or what's going on? But that's just one of those weird stories.
Creepers.
Yeah.
What's really weird is before I came and got on the computer to start and send you guys the link, I have another show on Sundays, and I was going to put in the group chat with these 3 other girls that I do the show with and ask them if they wanted to do a show about phantom riders. And I forgot when I got here what I was like, man, I should have wrote that down because it was a good idea, and I don't remember what it was. That I didn't say it to them, and now you just made me remember that again. It's funny. It was phantom, road highway, phantoms are train track, phantom trains or something.
Yeah.
There's a phantom motorcycle rider too.
Yeah. I love that subject. Any kind of spooky road, spooky trucker kind of ghost stories. Those are my favorite. And in that same trip out to Jersey, I hopped over to Connecticut, and I got to meet the real Annabelle doll. I got to go to the Warren Occult Museum, and
I want to so bad, but you have it closed right now. So
yeah. It was a weird way I was able to work that out. But the guy that runs it, Tony Spera, is the what's the term? He's married to Lorraine Warren's daughter, son-in-law. So I was able to contact him, and then I was able to go check out the museum and see Annabelle, and that was cool. I mean, that kind of blew my mind because it's that's one of those things where if somebody's giving you the opportunity to go see the Annabelle doll, you better figure out a way to make it work.
Right, once in a lifetime chance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've been trying to get him to come on the show. So.
Okay.
We message a lot of people that are, I guess, celebrities, and sometimes you don't ever hear back from them. They might see it, they might not.
Then definitely you get that for sure. But it was cool experience. And that's one I'll keep in the old memory box for a while.
Yeah.
I'm just putting in here. Thanks to everyone for watching, because the show will be over in just a second. And I always like to tell everybody.
Hey, do you want to tell everybody where they can find your stuff and everything, follow you?
Yeah. So California Creepypasta on Instagram, also www.californiacreepypasta.com. I have a lot of different cool things coming up. There's a big kind of secret project I've been working on that
so they can follow you.
Yeah. If you follow me, you'll definitely see all of that kind of progressing. it's gonna deal. I can give you a little hint. It's gonna deal with a little bit of the stuff we were talking about tonight, with these kind of devil locations and paranormal activity.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's definitely gonna be cool. We'll definitely talk off mic about setting something up for
Yeah.
when I make my way out to Devil's End. Maybe I could kind of interview you guys too with all that and get your experiences there. And then I will have I can't fully announce it yet, but I will have an upcoming TV guest hosting appearance on a paranormal TV show. When they give me the green light to announce that, I will. And we're looking for a mysterious lake monster, famous American lake monster. So,
Awesome.
yeah, so that's all my
I
stuff.
have an idea. That's awesome.
Cool.
Well, everyone, thank you for watching. And you should go follow him and see his future projects, especially if there's anything to do with Arkansas that's going to possibly be involved. That would be cool because I like to always see local stuff put out there,
Arkansas will be
I love
in
that,
there
yeah.
for sure.
So thank you everyone for watching, and we'll be back at the same time next Monday.
Bye, guys.
Have a good night. Bye. And she said, Nick, please be careful.
Will do.
Thank you.
Bye.